Welcome to NVL Travel Documentary. Life in San Diego, it's worse than you think. We infiltrated the underbelly of America's finest city, and what we uncovered will shock you. Behind the postcard-perfect beaches and luxury resorts lies a brutal contrast of people. Survival seems often the only option. Tent cities under freeways, the stench of urine and decay, cries echoing in alleyways. While tourists sip cocktails in Gaslamp Quarter just blocks away, people are selling their bodies for survival, shooting up in broad daylight. This is not the San Diego you see on travel brochures. This is the raw, unfiltered truth. In this episode, we expose the hidden world of homelessness, prostitution, and drug addiction, stories the city doesn't want you to hear. Stay with us. What you're about to witness may change how you see paradise forever. Number 1. Homeless in San Diego. San Diego, a city bathed in sunshine, framed by palm trees and coastal breeze, a place where the surf never sleeps and dreams are supposed to come true. But look past the glitter, and you'll see something else. Something the brochures don't mention. Because beneath the blue skies and million-dollar condos lies a growing crisis, raw, relentless, and impossible to ignore. As of early 2025, over 10,800 people are experiencing homelessness in San Diego County. That's not just a number, it's a jump of nearly 4% compared to last year. And what's even more alarming? More than 60% of them sleep unsheltered, exposed to the elements every single night. Imagine trying to sleep on concrete while cars thunder above you. That's the daily reality in a place locals call the Island, a patch of land tucked beneath a freeway interchange near SeaWorld. Here, tents huddle shoulder to shoulder, makeshift homes wrapped in blue tarps and plastic. Day and night, the roar of traffic is constant. It never stops. The ground shakes. Conversations get drowned out. People live, argue, cry, and sometimes die, just feet away from lanes of speeding tourists. And who are these people? Those we so often walk past without a glance. They're not just the stereotypical loners or addicts that media portray. They're grandmothers and grandfathers, many of whom are experiencing homelessness for the very first time in their lives. In fact, seniors now represent one of the fastest growing segments of the homeless population. The numbers don't lie. People over the age of 60 make up nearly 1 in 5 individuals without shelter in San Diego. Then there are the veterans, the ones who once wore the uniform and served the country, only to come home to a system that forgot their names. Many of them struggle with PTSD, mental health disorders, or chronic pain, conditions that become ticking time bombs when combined with high rents and low support. Low-income families are also on the edge. A single unexpected bill, a hospital visit, a job layoff, a car breakdown, can push them over that thin, fragile line between barely getting by and nowhere to go. Demographically, the face of homelessness in San Diego is complex and painfully revealing. Roughly 58% are white, followed by 34% Hispanic or Latino, and 22% Black or African American. The numbers tell a story of inequality that cuts across racial and economic lines. It's not just about bad luck. It's about systems that fail, again and again. And here's the thing, this crisis isn't hidden in the shadows. It's in plain sight. Walk a few blocks from the bustling Gaslamp Quarter and you'll see tents lining the sidewalks, people brushing their teeth with bottled water, others just staring blankly into the distance, waiting for something to change. But nothing changes, not fast enough. This isn't just a local issue. It's a mirror reflecting America's wider struggle with housing, dignity, and human worth. And if we don't look closely, if we keep turning away, we'll miss the real question: how did we get here? And what kind of city do we want to become? Number 2, why it's happening. To understand why so many people in San Diego are living on the streets, we need to look deeper than just tents and tarps. Homelessness isn't a single problem, it's the result of many forces crashing together. Like waves that erode the shore, these forces slowly, then suddenly, push people from the edge into the unknown. Let's break down the 3 biggest ones. First, economic pressure and the brutal housing market. Here's the hard truth. San Diego is one of the most expensive cities to live in across the United States. And it's only getting worse. In 2025, the median rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in San Diego reached over $2,800 per month. That means even for a full-time worker earning a decent wage, finding affordable housing is like chasing a mirage in the desert. Affordable housing? Practically non-existent. For decades, the focus has been on luxury condos, not livable homes. High-rises keep going up, but not for the people who clean them, cook in their kitchens, or deliver their groceries. San Diego has been adding far fewer affordable housing units than it actually needs. A recent study by the California Housing Partnership found that the region needs over 96,000 affordable rental homes to meet the current demand. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. Now imagine this. More than half of renters in the city are spending over 50% of their monthly income on rent alone. That means little is left for food, transportation, or emergencies. So when life throws a curveball, like a medical bill, a car repair, or reduced work hours, people fall. Second, social and personal struggles that go unseen. But housing isn't the only piece of the puzzle. Many people experiencing homelessness in San Diego are also carrying invisible wounds, mental illness, substance use, trauma that never healed. According to data from the San Diego Regional Task Force on Homelessness, nearly 45% of unsheltered individuals report having a serious mental illness. Around 36% struggle with substance use, and many suffer from both. But those numbers don't fully capture the heartbreak. Behind every statistic is a story: a veteran coping with PTSD after years of service, a mother who lost her job and then her home after a messy divorce, a senior with no family left and no safety net. These aren't rare stories. They're happening everywhere, every day. Worse yet, we expect people to get clean, get better, or get back on their feet before offering help. But when support systems are scattered and underfunded, how can anyone begin to heal? Third, broken systems and policy failures. Even when the will exists, the system often fails. Government programs meant to provide housing, healthcare, or income support are full of red tape. Agencies don't always communicate with each other. There's a lack of coordination between housing departments, mental health services, and addiction recovery programs. That means someone who needs all 3, housing, therapy, and medical care, might get none, or only one. And it's not enough. Public investment in affordable housing remains dangerously low, and while the city has introduced initiatives like emergency shelters and temporary cabins, these are often band-aids on a deep wound. Meanwhile, critical projects face years of delay due to zoning laws, public hearings, and permitting processes that move at a snail's pace. The result? A system that reacts instead of anticipates. A city always in catch-up mode as more people slip through the cracks. So when people ask why is homelessness in San Diego getting worse, this is the answer. It's not laziness, it's not just addiction, it's sky-high rents, fragile lives, and systems that don't work fast or fairly enough. And until we address all 3 layers, economic, personal, and systemic, this crisis will only continue to grow. But here's the good news. If we created this mess, we can also clean it up. What's needed is not just compassion, but coordination. Not just programs, but persistence. And most of all, the belief that everyone deserves a place to call home. Number 3, city policies today. In recent years, San Diego has taken bold, and some would say controversial steps, to tackle what has become one of its most urgent and visible challenges. But the question lingers: are we healing the wound, or just covering the scar. It all came to a head in 2023, when city officials passed a law that banned camping in public spaces. Tents and tarps, once common along sidewalks and under bridges, were suddenly labeled illegal if shelter beds were available. On the surface, the policy was framed as a way to reclaim public order, protect tourism, and move people into safer environments. But on the street, the reality told a different story. There simply weren't enough beds. Not then, not now. By early 2025, data shows that for every 10 people living unsheltered in San Diego, fewer than 4 beds are available on any given night. That leaves thousands forced to choose between disappearing into the margins or being moved along by law enforcement. For many, the threat of ticketing or arrest only deepens the trauma they already carry. Critics of the policy were quick to speak out. Experts, outreach workers, and even former city officials argued that the city wasn't solving the problem, it was just sweeping it from one corner to another. "We're not ending homelessness," one outreach worker said, "we're just chasing it." But amid the tension, hope has also been building, quietly, patiently, in places you might not expect. Across the city, a patchwork of nonprofits, churches, and community coalitions have been stepping in where the system falls short. These are people who don't just see statistics, they see stories. And they're creating spaces of refuge, even when resources are scarce. One such initiative is a cluster of tiny cabin villages that have popped up near SeaWorld and other corners of the county. Unlike traditional shelters, these cabins offer a locked door, a private space, and access to case managers, medical services, and mental health support. They may be small, but for someone who's been sleeping on asphalt for months, they represent something enormous: dignity. In 2024 alone, transitional programs like these helped more than 1,800 people in San Diego County move into temporary or permanent housing. It's not enough, but it's proof that change is possible when we prioritize people over policy. Meanwhile, city leaders have begun working more closely with federal partners. Projects like Bridge to Home, a collaboration between the city and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, have brought over 3,000 new affordable housing units into development since 2022. These homes aren't just walls and windows. They're designed to come with wraparound support, job counseling, healthcare access, and community connection. But the need is still overwhelming. The San Diego Housing Commission estimates that more than 11,000 affordable units are needed today to meet the region's growing demand, and that number keeps climbing. Rising construction costs, limited land availability, and neighborhood resistance continue to slow the pipeline. So where does that leave us? Somewhere in between frustration and determination. The city's policies may be flawed, but they're evolving. Community efforts are small but growing, and while the gap between need and support is still wide, the people filling it, advocates, social workers, volunteers, are refusing to give up. Because in the end, this crisis won't be solved by one law or one project, it will be solved by a collective decision to stop managing homelessness and finally start ending it. Number 4, the impact on everyone. We often think of homelessness as a personal tragedy, and it is, but what most people don't realize is, it's not just personal. It's social, it's economic, it's public health, and in cities like San Diego, where the crisis has grown more visible and more urgent each year, its ripple effects are no longer subtle. They're everywhere. Let's talk money first, because the price tag of doing nothing is a lot higher than most people think. According to the latest estimates from San Diego County, emergency services related to homelessness, like ambulance calls, emergency room visits, law enforcement response, and crisis housing, cost taxpayers over $600 million annually. That's more than $500 million, spent reacting to a problem instead of preventing it. And those costs are rising, year after year. Now imagine the same money being funneled into permanent housing, mental health clinics, and long-term support. Would we still be spending that much just to keep the wheels turning? Local businesses, especially in areas with high rates of street homelessness, are also feeling the pressure. In neighborhoods like East Village and parts of downtown, owners have reported losses in foot traffic, customer complaints, and increased costs tied to security. Some small shops have closed entirely. When a sidewalk becomes a campsite or when customers feel unsafe walking to their car, it doesn't just hurt those on the streets. It hurts the economic life of the entire community. But the impact goes deeper than dollars. Because when people live without shelter, access to clean water, or basic health care, we don't just have a housing problem, we have a public health crisis. People experiencing homelessness are more likely to suffer from chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. They're also more vulnerable to outbreaks of infectious diseases, everything from hepatitis A to tuberculosis. In fact, during the 2017 hepatitis A outbreak in San Diego, nearly 70% of cases were among the homeless population. It was a wake-up call. But 7 years later, many of the root causes, unsanitary living conditions, lack of hygiene facilities, no access to preventative care, are still the norm. And here's what we often forget. Public health doesn't stop at the edge of a tent. Disease, stress, trauma, these things spread, both physically and psychologically. When we allow a portion of our population to live in crisis, we're inviting instability into the whole system. Then there's the social cost, the one that's harder to measure, but just as real. Walk through San Diego today and you'll see it, the growing gap between rich and poor, the luxury high-rises towering over rows of tents, the Teslas zipping past people digging through trash. It's not just inequality, it's disconnection. Homelessness creates emotional distance. It stirs up fear, judgment, even anger. Some look away, others lash out, and before long, compassion turns cold. Neighborhoods fracture. People retreat into their comfort zones. Trust begins to erode. Number 5, how we fix this. The truth is, we already know what causes homelessness. We've seen its effects. We've documented the heartbreak. The real question now is, what are we going to do about it? Because the longer we wait, the more people fall through the cracks. And in a city like San Diego, where more than 10,800 people are currently unhoused, the cost of inaction grows by the day. So let's talk solutions, not band-aids, not temporary fixes, but real, forward-thinking, community-rooted change. It all starts with housing, affordable, stable, dignified housing. For years, San Diego has tried to address homelessness without enough homes. It doesn't work. We can't treat shelter like a prize people earn after jumping through hoops. It has to be the foundation. That means scaling up social housing construction in a big way. Right now, San Diego needs over 96,000 affordable units to meet demand, and we're not even halfway there. Local governments must speed up the permitting process, remove outdated zoning barriers, and prioritize public land for housing development. But they can't do it alone. That's where public-private partnerships come in. When city agencies team up with ethical developers and nonprofit housing organizations, we unlock not only funding, but creativity. Imagine transforming old hotels into long-term housing, or converting vacant buildings into community villages. It's not just possible, it's already being piloted in neighborhoods across California. And for those who can't yet live fully independently, tiny home villages and cabin communities can serve as that crucial bridge between street life and stability. These spaces cost a fraction of what traditional shelters do, and they offer something many shelters can't: privacy, safety. But housing alone doesn't fix everything. People need support systems, strong ones, that walk beside them, not just ahead of them. That's why we must invest in a network of wraparound services, mental health care that's trauma-informed, addiction treatment without judgment, job training that meets people where they are, and case managers who actually know your name, not just your file number. It's what some cities are calling surround care, a model where someone exiting homelessness doesn't just get a roof over their head, but a pathway forward. With the right system in place, this support doesn't stop after 30 or 90 days. It continues, as long as it's needed. And here's something we can't ignore anymore: data matters. In 2025, we have the tools to be smarter about how we respond. By using real-time data tracking systems, cities like Houston have managed to reduce chronic homelessness by over 63% in just 4 years. These platforms help service providers track who needs what, where, and when, so resources don't get lost in the shuffle. Imagine an app that connects someone sleeping rough with nearby shelter availability, a mobile medical van, or even a food pantry within walking distance. That's not sci-fi, it's happening. We just need the will to scale it. And finally, there's the most important piece of all. Us. Communities. People. Neighbors. We cannot leave this issue solely in the hands of policymakers and nonprofits. We need a cultural shift, one that sees homelessness not as an eyesore, but as a solvable injustice. That begins with conversation, with community forums, citizen panels, and storytelling events where voices from both sides of the street are heard. It means holding empathy workshops in schools. It means launching public awareness campaigns that challenge stereotypes and elevate real stories. And yes, it means inviting residents, everyday people, to have a say in how resources are used and where services are placed. Because the more people feel involved, the more they feel responsible. And the more we feel responsible, the more change becomes possible. San Diego may be known for its sunshine, its beaches, and its world-class attractions, but behind the postcard-perfect views lies a deeper truth. This city, like so many others, is a mirror of modern urban struggle, where beauty and hardship coexist, and where the line between comfort and crisis can be just one missed paycheck away. Every person without a home is more than a statistic. They are stories in motion, stories of loss, resilience, and the quiet hope for something better. And while the challenges are complex, the path forward is clear. It begins with compassion. It grows through collective effort, and it leads us to a future where dignity is not a privilege, but a given. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you or opened your eyes in a new way, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts below. And if you'd like to see more untold stories from the places you think you know, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to NVL Travel Documentary. There's a whole world still waiting to be seen and understood. Until next time, take care and travel deeper.